seconds and counting. 25 seconds and counting. We are still go. 20 seconds. Guidance alert. The guidance system now going internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time to, where are we? Am I live, producer? I'm assuming I'm live. I apologize, guys. I have lost my communication with my producer. I apologize for that. Not sure what transpired there, but in any event, here we are, and welcome to the Angry Astronaut, and welcome to our live coverage of Starship Flight 10 with hopefully this one will go smoothly. Once again, sorry for the little bit of an issue that we had there at the beginning. For some reason, I cannot hear my producer at the moment. Robert, thank you so much for your support, also known as Airborne Bob, coming to our aid. Really, really appreciate it. So here we are, part 2. Hello, Texas. Thanks for checking in. Let's see where everybody is watching from. By the way, I noticed Farouk from New York. And let's see, who else do we have watching? We got, let's see, we got Ireland. Is that right? Watching as well. That's just waiting to see where everybody else is checking in from. We, of course, have Four Marks, UK. And that's John Morgan, of course, watching today, and also Topeka, Kansas. Hello, Netherlands. Thanks for watching today. And Bath, United Kingdom, approximately half an hour to launch. Hello, Canada and Hungary. Hello, Spud State. I'm assuming that's Idaho, Bournemouth, England, Arizona. Hello, Western Massachusetts, and Clarksville, Tennessee. Hello, Bakersfield, Melbourne, Australia, and Stockholm, Sweden. Let's see who else we got. Iceland. Thanks very much for checking in today. Hello, Tashkent City again. Thank you, Timur. Glad to have you here today. Hello, Sydney. Who else we got? North London. Thanks for checking in. Hello, Valencia in Indiana, Chesterfield. Let's see, boy, a lot of other places. Chico, California, Seligman, Arizona, Davie, Florida, Newquay. And by the way, we have people, we should anyway have folks who are also joining us. But I'm trying to get back in touch with my producer. I apologize, guys. We should have folks who are watching on the vertical stream, the YouTube Shorts format, TikTok looking kind of format. So welcome to all of you folks. I can't see your chat at the moment, but I will be able to see it here in a little bit once we get back in touch with producer. In the meantime, I can continue to cover, so that's the good thing. Hello, Swansea. Hello, South Delaware and North Carolina. Hello, Palm Bay. Hello, Uganda. Thank you, John Morgan, for the tenor. Really, really appreciate that. Hello, San Antonio and Tennessee. Really, really appreciate you joining us. So once again, hello, Houston. And we have a big night tonight. Plain and simple. Very, very Big launch, of course, for Starship. This is either the final launch or one of the last two launches of the Block 2 version of Starship. There are 8 dummy Starlink satellites on board to the tune of 16 metric tons worth of payload on this particular flight. So once again, not a lot of payload on this rocket. That's been a consistent thing with these test flights. They haven't been able to load up the fairing with its full capacity, at least not yet. So we'll see how all of that goes. In addition to that, Block 2 is still something that SpaceX would like to see some success with, I believe. I think that it's important for Block 2 to have a good flight towards the end, and for this swan song that they have coming up, instead of just failure after failure after failure after failure, it would really be nice to see Block 2 have a successful flight before they wrap up the Block 2. There's only one more Block 2 rocket in storage at the moment that may or may not fly. They may use that as a test bed for a Block 3 flight. They may just use it for ground-based experimental testing rather than actually fly the last Block 2. Hard to say. We'll see what ends up happening with it. But nevertheless, it would be nice to see Block 2 succeed, because up to this point, it has been essentially non-stop failure. Bear with me here. I am still trying to confirm my communication with my producer. That has worried me slightly. Obviously, things are still functioning. We're still going here, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're able to bring you the live coverage. Bear with me for just a moment here. I am restarting my cell phone to see if there are any problems from my end. So bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and reboot. In the meantime, we are waiting for SpaceX to go live, which should happen in about 8 minutes or so. They started prop load on the rocket just a little while ago, a few minutes ago. So in any event, we will see uh, let's hope that all of that goes smoothly. Generally, SpaceX has gotten really, really good at all of the ground systems related stuff. That is, however, what caused the scrub yesterday, was a ground systems error of some kind. So in any event, hopefully that doesn't happen again. But at the same time, there was some reports that SpaceX was really rushing that launch attempt yesterday, that they were rushing the rocket out to the pad. There was a lot of things going on with the launch that was really kind of, it wasn't ideal. So in any event, it looks like we are back here. Bear with me here. Okay. It looks like we have feedback from the producer. So in any event, that's good. Bear with me for just a second here. All right. Bear with me here, and I will. Doggone it. Come on. Okay, there we go. All right. So now we are up and going. Sorry about that, folks. Just a couple of little technical issues tonight, but it does appear that things are working properly here. We are roughly 6 minutes or so from SpaceX going live, as far as we know. Check, producer. Are you there? Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, we just had a brief loss of producer there for a little while, which of course makes me feel so uneasy because I can't do anything on a live stream without this guy. That's how completely technically incompetent I am. Without ASN, another space nut, I simply can't make this channel work. So we are always so incredibly grateful to ASN. Everybody say thank you, ASN, for being here for us tonight so that we can make this whole thing work. And especially one of the best things that ASN's good at is being fast on the draw when it comes to cutting out that copyright music. All it takes is just about 10 to 15 seconds worth of copyright music, and it absolutely ruins the entire feed. So the fact that he's quick on the draw when it comes to those sorts of things, that alone really makes a huge difference. So about 5 minutes or so before SpaceX goes live, roughly 30 to 35 minutes to lift off, maybe a little less than that. Let me go ahead and check on SpaceX's current situation and see where we are right now. It appears 17 minutes ago they announced that they were beginning the prop load, and we haven't had anything else thus far. That's interesting. So they should be pushing on their Twitter broadcast in about 2 or 3 minutes. So all this should be happening very, very soon. But in any event, like I say, the folks at SpaceX, no problem. The folks right now at SpaceX have got to be really tense at the moment. They've had too many failures. They haven't had a single flight that's gone as planned so far this year. And given the fact that they started out so promisingly, given that things were looking so good with Block 1. I mean, they rapidly advanced from Flight 1, which was a terrible, terrible flight, destroyed the launch pad, caused a 6-month delay before they could fly again. But after that, Block 1 really started to perform. You got more and more and more successes. And of course, the famous catch of the booster, which happened just a little less than a year ago now. We're going to be up to the 1-year anniversary of the first successful super heavy catch. So all of that was looking so promising. And then not only that, the re-entry of the orbiter. We don't know how well the heat shield held up. We don't know really what kind of condition the rocket was actually in. But what we do know is that those Raptor 1 engines were functioning well enough to do a soft landing in the Indian Ocean pretty much precisely on target, because, for those of us who watched it, they had floating drone cameras out there, exactly where the thing was supposed to set down, and the rocket set down exactly where it was supposed to go. So all of that's very, very impressive to start out with. But since the graduation from Block 1 to Block 2, which was a necessary thing because Block 1, for all of its successes, could not carry much in the way of payload. Its payload capacity was way less than what Elon said it was going to be for Block 1. They definitely needed improved performance in order to make Starship deliver on what it was supposed to deliver on. Block 2 has not performed. As I said before, there hasn't been a single fully successful flight, and not even close to fully successful flight of the Block 2. We've had 2 flights that have failed very early in the flight and re-entered the atmosphere over the Caribbean, and then a 3rd flight which lost control fairly soon, almost immediately, actually, after passing the Kármán line and reaching space. It was at least following the proper trajectory before control was lost, which means it did come down in the Indian Ocean, but it came down in the Indian Ocean as a fireball, in much worse condition than any of the previous flights that came down in the Indian Ocean, because it was spiraling and pinwheeling. The thing was completely out of control, and so therefore the rocket was not re-entering with its heat shield pointing towards the atmosphere as it was supposed to. So yeah, it's there's been issues, and it'd be very, very nice to see the problems rectified with block 2, because if they can rectify the block 2 issues, what that means is that when we graduate to block 3, if there are significant problems with block 3 to start off with, let's hope that doesn't happen, then they could graduate from there. Okay, it looks like SpaceX is coming up. Looks like we're going to have our coverage here. So got some copyright music at the moment, and then we will be going live with SpaceX coverage here shortly. And of course, anytime that SpaceX cuts away and there's copyrighted music during a broadcast, I will once again have to cut in. So here we go. Again, we're in the intro phase at the moment. To tell you something, it's been a ride. It's been a ride. So we will see if the 10th flight and the 4th flight of block 2, if it can pull it off. Let's hope. Let's hope. So in a moment, SpaceX will take it away.
This time pretty cool, just off to my right there, our new Mission Control Center. Engineers are on console monitoring all the vehicle, the systems, as we are counting down right now to liftoff of the 10th Starship flight test. As you look at the rocket, you can tell prop load is underway. Our T0 right now is set for 6:59 p.m. Central Time. We've been dodging around some weather that is currently the biggest threat to a launch today, as we're at about 70% probability of violation to liftoff. So we're looking at those clouds closely, but not tracking any technical issues on the vehicle. Today's objectives, particularly with the ship, going to look pretty similar to the last flights, the last several launches. We're planning to deploy Starlink simulator satellites and fly a whole range of experiments during Starship's re-entry, really trying to test the limits of its heat shield, the flaps, learn as much as possible as we build towards a fully reusable heat shield. We're looking to do a controlled descent, targeted soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean, so hopefully seeing Starship on the other side of the planet today. Regardless of the outcome, the goal is to collect as much data as humanly possible. That'll get us all the bit. We're just getting closer and closer to a fully operational Starship.
I didn't like how that sounded. Didn't like that at all.
Well, and I are just going to enter this live cast.
All right, so
add a little flavor.
Yeah, right now we're counting down, but we're about to launch the largest flying object ever made. But this isn't on the radar for everybody, and we know that. So we want to kind of take a beat, pull back, do a little bit of Starship 101. To do that, I've got some special guests crashing the webcast today. Joining me now in Star Factory, Elon Musk, Chief Engineer at SpaceX. Bill Riley, our VP of Starship Engineering. Thanks for being here, guys. I know we got a rocket about to get off the pad, but let's
Elon's
start
on the
off,
live
like,
stream,
high level,
guys.
like,
wow.
Why are we here? What the hell are we doing here?
Well, I don't know about everybody, but I'm here to try to build into the future that I imagined and dreamed of as a child, where starships with people are out among the stars exploring the universe.
Yeah, so the why, it's always important to explain the why of things. And the why of Starship is that we want to be a multi-planet species to extend consciousness beyond Earth, I think for two main reasons. One is to ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life as we know it in consciousness, which if we are a multi-planet species and ultimately a multistellar species out there among the stars, the probability of survival is much, much longer. That's kind of the, defensive aspect or life insurance for life collectively. But then there also need to be things that are inspiring and exciting and that give you reason to live. Life cannot just be about solving one tragic problem after another. There must be also reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about the future. And a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is infinitely more exciting than one where we are not.
And we're doing it all pretty unique location. I mean, the pad's behind us. We got rocket on the tower. We got another tower with it. We're sitting inside Star Factory. And I mean, it wasn't like this for very long. This is all pretty brand new.
Yeah, I think we moved Starship here in about the early part of 2019. So we've been coming that entire time and seeing the site evolve from a double wide trailer and a tent where we built Starhopper to the first suborbital test flights. And now we have behind us 2 towers for the first time as we build towards the first operational flight from the second tower at the end of this year. And this beautiful building, 1 million square feet, where we're able to work towards a production line of Starships.
Yeah, the SpaceX team has done an incredible job of building out really the most advanced rocket manufacturing facility that has ever existed. This is far beyond any rocket fabrication facility that has ever been built. This is essentially alien-level technology, and it was all built here basically down by the Rio Grande River and close to the beach. It's an incredibly improbable location, and this used to be a sandbar. I think we're about, 3 feet or about 1 meter above sea level. It really was nothing. If you see the time lapse from sandbar to two launch towers and a gigantic rocket factory with high bays, and we're going to be building something called the Gigabay, which is like one of the largest enclosed volumes on Earth. So it's sort of like a gigantic Borg cube that we're going to be building here for building and storing these gigantic rockets. It's really spectacular, and anyone can come and visit. So because we're on a public highway and we're literally by a public beach, you can actually come and see the rocket. You quite close up. I mean, you can drive past it, and you can also look at the factory. And anyone could do this from anywhere in the world. So you can come and visit and check it out. So I think it's pretty cool that it's
just not right now.
Just not right now.
Just not right
Obviously
now.
not when we're launching because there's some safety issues. But the rocket's often just sitting on the pad without any propellant in it, and then you can just come here and visit. It's very easy.
Yeah, I think it's a really special place. Yesterday, the ship went down the road behind us, and I saw families outside on Sunday going for their Sunday stroll, and they were greeted by Starship going down. And I think that from the very beginning, the thing about Starship, different than Falcon and other rockets that I'm aware of, is we designed it to be mass-produced and mass-produced at scale. And it's not about building one Starship and getting to orbit once. It's about doing it in a sustained and rapid way.
Yeah, we're aiming for ultimately thousands of ships to be built per year, which is what's needed in order to construct a city on Mars that is self-sustaining. And the major fork in the road of destiny will be when the Mars city is capable of surviving, even if the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason. And that reason could be something cataclysmic, or it could be that that civilization simply subsided. There's always this debate throughout history of will civilization end with a bang or a whimper. But either way, if the critical thing is to get to the point where Mars is self-sustaining and can survive even if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, which means that you need to build an entire base of industry on Mars in order for Mars to survive. For example, it's not simply enough to build a chip, like a computer chip factory, but you need the ability to build computer chip factories. So this is going to really take a lot of tonnage. I mean, my guess is at least 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, and maybe it takes less than that, but it's going to be a lot. But this is a very exciting future. It's one which will ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life and consciousness, and it's the critical stepping stone to get from this solar system to other star systems, and perhaps go out there and explore, and perhaps we'll encounter alien civilizations that maybe they're alive now, or maybe they enjoyed a period of prosperity for millions of years, and but also died out millions of years ago. So it's humbling to think of the age of the universe, according to the standard model of physics, being approximately 13.8 billion years old. So an incremental million years would be 3 digits past the decimal point. And if you look at, say, our civilization and measure our civilization by the first evidence of writing, which is about 5,500 years ago, civilization as measured from the first writing is only 1/millionth of Earth's existence.
Or blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan so far.
Yeah. Well, we're getting some cool shots. Rocket out on the pad right now. We tell people, like, come down, see it. It's hard to get, like, a sense of scale of just how massive this thing is. And we were able to catch somebody working on it a little while ago. And, like, part of the reason you said we're sending millions of tons, that's kind of why this thing
I
is
think
so
in this
massive as
image,
it
Dan, you
is.
can actually see the person working at the bottom of the ship, and as we zoom out, you see the full ship, that sort of two-tone silver and black, and then the booster below it, right? And it really sets the scale, which doesn't come across, I think, other than in person. And when I do tours, I like to say Starship is real, Starship is big, and Starship is really big. And I think you can see there, and with the factory shots you saw earlier, again, we've got Flight 10 on the pad, but we got many more behind it.
Yeah, so I posted a video yesterday of just a brief scan of part of the Starship factory, and you can get a sense of the scale of the factory. Yeah, I guess we could talk a bit about why Starship is the way it is. Like, for example, why is half of the ship black and half of it is silver colored? And that's because the bottom half of the ship, the bottom as seen from orbital entry, has a heat shield on it. So the black there is the heat shield, and then the core structure of the rocket is a special alloy of stainless steel, and that's where you see the sort of shiny silver parts are stainless steel. The reason for steel over aluminum is that the heat of atmospheric entry and the heat of the rocket engines is enough to easily melt aluminum, but steel is much more resilient against both ascent heating, but especially the reentry heating. And you don't have to paint it, which is actually very difficult to paint a large object that is going through cryogenic cycles and have the paint stay on. It's quite challenging.
And so we've talked about it. It's massive. It obviously takes a whole lot of energy to make that thing move. And that's where Raptor really starts to come in. Most advanced engine on the planet. Giant
yes.
lightsaber.
No, that's a lightsaber and a half. You would get vaporized in an instant if you were standing in front of Raptor. So, yeah, burnt to a crisp in less than a second. So in order to create a fully reusable orbital rocket, you have to advance the state of the art in every part of the rocket. That means the engines have to be better than any engine ever. The structure's got to be better than any structure ever. You've got to have a means of bringing the rocket back to the launch pad. You've got to have a fully reusable orbital heat shield, and that no one has ever made a fully reusable orbital heat shield. The space shuttle, for example, required 9 months of refurbishment between flights. So the space shuttle heat shield would come back essentially partially broken and would require many months of refurbishment in order to fly again. What we're trying to achieve here with Starship is to have a heat shield that can be flown immediately. So the ship, both the ship and the booster, would be caught by the tower arms, and the booster would be placed immediately back on the launch stand, and the ship's got to orbit Earth at least once, but then could be back potentially in one orbit, but in most cases several orbits. So the ship would come back several hours later, but then be caught by the arms and placed on top of the booster. You can also have multiple ships ready so that a single booster could service 5 or more ships, so that you could be flying the booster in theory every hour. This is kind of a profoundly fast speed, obviously, for the largest flying object by far ever made. But it's the reason why we catch the tower, we catch the booster with the tower arms, and the ship also will be caught with the tower arms, because that's the fastest way to get the booster and the ship back to flight. If we had instead put landing legs, which we have done before for the ship tests, we actually had landing legs that flip down, and the ship we've successfully demonstrated landing with legs. But if you do that, if we were to do that with the booster and the ship here, we'd have to land somewhere else with the legs, then lift the rocket, stow the legs, transport the rocket back to the pad, which is very unwieldy when you've got a gigantic thing. Then it would be picked up by these tower arms and placed in the launch mount. That would delay the reusability dramatically and would add a lot of mass with the landing legs. So that's why we catch the rocket with the tower arms, because it's the same tower arms that put the rocket in the launch mount are used to catch the rocket. And that means that we can put the booster back in the launch mount in less than an hour after liftoff. In fact, the booster is going to come back very fast. Like, 5 or 6 minutes later, this booster is coming back one way or another, or not coming back. So then you really have propellant fill time, which can be brought down to about 30, 40 minutes. And that means it is theoretically possible to fly the booster again in less than an hour.
I think when I think about it, it's the jet drives up to the jetway, the people get off, new people get on, and it leaves. You don't want to land the jet on a different airfield and then tow it over to the jetway. So it's just operationally simpler and faster.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with the booster, 3 for 3 on the catch attempts. When we bring it back, we've reflown one, so awesome. And then, Starship superpowers, the whole thing is reusable. So ship reusability is like what we're working on right now. We've been able to get some really spectacular reentries on a couple of flights, hoping to get this one for reentry on the V2 ship. But yeah, that fully reusable heat shield, that thing that has just never been done before, that's one of the things we're really looking for that data on.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of engineering challenges that remain for both the ship and the booster, but maybe the single biggest one is the reusable orbital heat shield. We are confident in making a fully reusable orbital heat shield, but it will require many flights, many iterations to figure out where the weak points are in the heat shield, where we need to change the design, either strengthening the tile or changing how big the gap is between tiles, changing what's underneath the tile. There's 100 different variables that we could tweak with the ship tiles, the heat shield tiles. But the only way to know exactly what we should be adjusting is to fly repeatedly and be able to examine the ship upon landing. And we have successfully brought the ship back through the atmosphere and achieved a soft landing multiple times. So we know that this is possible, but we have in the process shed many heat shield tiles. So we need to be able to do this without shedding heat shield tiles and do so repeatedly.
Plastic Pinocchio, thank you so much.
And I think what you're seeing now is
support.
the Starship. This is CG of it coming in and landing on the tower, much like the booster, but there's some additional challenges there where we need to make sure we don't scrape the tiles off as we slide along the chopstick
We can't
arms.
shuck the heat shield.
Don't crush the ship.
Rapid reusability.
If we shuck the tiles, then that's obviously going to fail the reusability test.
So ships can use the tower to land and catch like the booster here on Earth where towers are available. And for our initial landings on Mars and other planets, we'll need landing legs that deploy much like what you're seeing here with Ship 15 when we did our suborbital test to prove out the precision descent landing, which was a successful test. We actually landed to one was we were able to actually recover it, and you can see it here in the rocket garden if you visit Starbase.
So the rocket garden that Bill mentioned, we have actually a whole bunch of boosters and ships, and we'll be adding to them over time. So you can see an evolution of Starship just by driving down the highway.
Yeah. So reusability is key. There's some other technologies we're still looking to prove out. Really big one is going to be the on-orbit refilling. Looking to do that next year, and that's really what's going to kind of unlock, Starship going everywhere else, going everywhere beyond Earth, and that's something that's again never been done before, kind of like that reusable orbital heat shield, but it's going to be something that's kind of some of the other secret sauce to Starship, where we're going to be able to send hundreds of tons per ship to Mars.
Yeah, I like to think of it as if we
What was the
get to
name?
orbit
Sorry,
with a
producer.
full cargo bay, but we're empty on fuel and oxygen. So basically, we're running on fumes. Then we send other ships to dock,
Zach Cole,
transfer
thank you so
propellant,
much for your
and now we
support
made our two-stage
over
rocket look
on
like
the,
a many
short
multi-stage
side.
rocket.
Thank you
And we
so
get all
much
of
on
that
the vertical
performance,
side.
and we can take that full cargo bay now wherever we want to go.
Yeah, so a crucial technology that we hope to demonstrate next year is this orbital refilling. Much like aerial refueling, it's essential for being able to send significant payload to Mars. So you essentially send a ship to orbit with a few hundred tons of payload, sort of a filled payload bay. But once it gets to orbit, the tanks will be mostly empty, and then you send up additional tanker ships to refill the Mars ship's tank, so that it can thrust from Earth orbit to Mars and have enough propellant left for landing. So this is orbital refilling is also not something that's ever been demonstrated before. So that would be a brand new technology. We obviously have at SpaceX figured out how to dock repeatedly with the space station. So in a lot of ways, this is like docking, and in some ways it's easier in that SpaceX is docking with its own craft, but no one has ever
Babsu,
demonstrated
thank you so
propellant
much for your
transfer,
support. Really appreciate it.
in orbit, to the best of our knowledge, and so this would be propellant transfer at a very large scale, and but with full reusability and propellant transfer, those are the key technologies needed for building a city on Mars, and I'm confident that the SpaceX team, which is incredibly talented, will achieve these goals, and we will be landing ships on Mars in the future and building life on Mars, building greenhouses and life on Mars, and ensuring the long-term survival of life as we know it. And it's important to note here that obviously, we are effectively stewards of life here on Earth. That the other creatures cannot build spacecraft and get to other planets. So if there were to be a cataclysmic event, like a giant meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs, or ultimately the sun will expand to envelop Earth and destroy all life, we know this is an undisputed fact. Then if we don't take life to another planet, all life will be destroyed. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we do bring life to other planets and ensure the long-term survival of life as we know it on planet Earth.
Critical thinking.
And I mean,
thank
aside
you
from
so
that,
much.
there's
Thank
so
you.
much that
Thank you
Starship
so much.
unlocks by
Critical
being able to
thinking.
do
That's
these
your
things.
first super
Like,
chat
we'll be
on a
able to go
live
to
stream.
Mars, but
Thank you. I'm honored for
there
that.
are other just transformational things by being able to take that many people, that much stuff to space for that much less money.
Yeah, I mean, I think like understanding our planet better, being able to move people around the planet, make it feel smaller and more accessible. You could go anywhere on the Earth, in less than 40 minutes, basically, in terms of flight time. So I really do see Starship as being this thing that can connect us, just like Starlink connects our information. This can connect us more physically.
Yeah. So there's really nothing faster than a rocket. Really, an orbital rocket is the fastest thing that we know of of the fastest means of transport. So, like, you could go from LA to Sydney in less than half an hour. You could go LA to Tokyo in less than half an hour. You could go from New York to Singapore in half an hour. Everything's probably half an hour, basically. But some things might be 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, sign me up for that, please. All right, cool.
Cross the Atlantic in 10 minutes, no problem.
Please, yes, sign me up.
You're going 25 times the speed of sound, so that's 30 times faster than a commercial aircraft.
And it's a whole hell of a lot better view.
Yeah, it's a hell of a view.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else, guys? Anything else you're really excited about
we could
coming
say
out?
a lot more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go check in on the rocket
Yeah.
and get
All
on
right,
console.
we're going to go back on console to hopefully the weather supports a launch tonight. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, thanks for support.
Thanks for crashing,
Bye.
guys.
All right.
Dominic, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your support. Thanks a lot. Spaceflight episode off topic. Ever done a video on constellation? No, I haven't. Should it have been canceled? No, definitely not, because it would have gotten us out of the
All
solar
right, that
system a
was
lot
sweet.
quicker.
Let's turn our
Let's go ahead, producer. Let's mute them for just a second, so that I can address something that's really been bothering me about this. Even though Elon was correct in saying that the reusable heat shield on the shuttle had to be patched and rebuilt, and it every time it was used, they lost heat tiles every time it came down. That was even on the first flight of the space shuttle. For those of you who are old like me and remember Columbia, when Columbia went to orbit, we saw missing heat tiles even back then. And it was a frightening thing for a lot of people. A lot of folks were thinking that Columbia would burn up coming back, which ironically, eventually it did, but not because of a loss of a few heat tiles. But in any event, that's something that just happened to the shuttle every single time and needed to be patched. What Elon was not accurate about was the 9-month turnaround. That was not an absolute essential at all. NASA got much better than that. The fastest turnaround, because when he said that, I was like, no, I don't believe that that's true. The fastest turnaround of a space shuttle was Space Shuttle Atlantis in 1985, that turned around launches in 54 days. Granted, that's almost 2 months, but that's not 9 months. In addition to that, the fastest sequential launches of space shuttles from Cape Canaveral took place within 6 days of one another. They launched one shuttle and then had another one lift off within 6 days. Now, granted, SpaceX does that with Falcon 9 all the time, but if you're talking a big monster like the shuttle, it's pretty impressive that they are able to launch 2 of those babies within 6 days of each other. So yeah, less than 2 months between launches, not necessarily 9, but still overall. Also, there are some questions regarding the Nuke Mars t-shirt. Elon, for quite some time, I don't know if he still believes this, but Elon for quite some time has believed that one of the best ways to terraform Mars is to melt the polar ice caps on Mars, melt all of the carbon dioxide, the frozen carbon dioxide, the water ice, etc., with nuclear blasts, which just about nobody else agrees with that approach. There's much better ways. If you want to melt the polar ice caps, there are much better ways to do it. For example, orbiting mirrors reflecting solar energy onto the polar ice caps would be one way to do that. But in any event, there's certainly less violent ways and even if you do, however, even if you did melt all the carbon dioxide and all of the water ice off of the poles, that would only contribute to an atmospheric density of perhaps 3 or 4% as dense as Earth's atmosphere. Not nearly enough. We're going to need a lot more material, in situ material from Mars, in order to create a breathable atmosphere on that planet. It's going to be immensely challenging, and nuking the poles will not be sufficient, even if they did decide to go that route. So in any event, that's a little bit of information on what Elon was talking about. We are currently 15 minutes or so away from liftoff. One thing I didn't like hearing at the very beginning of the broadcast, the expectations that were set down is, regardless of the results tonight, what we're going to get is data. What we're going to get is useful data. That bugged me a little bit. That led me to believe that they're trying to set the expectation that this flight may go exactly the same way as all the other flights. Now, granted, those are appropriate expectations to be setting down in front of us. But the thing of it is, I haven't heard them talk about that yet. I haven't heard them discuss that yet. So in any event, I don't know. We'll see what actually happens, but that was just kind of a funky thing. So I just we'll see if this flight actually goes the way I'm kind of concerned that it might. So fingers crossed as far as that's concerned. But no, my feelings about Elon have actually mellowed a lot in recent days, simply because Elon seems to be pulling away from politics. I don't care where he stood politically, all the way to the right, all the way to the left. I would have been equally pissed off at him. I think that if he's trying to get this planet behind him on a mission to colonize Mars, he needs help from both sides of the aisle. He needs everybody behind him on this, and he doesn't need to be alienating people with his politics. I told him that when he was becoming active in politics. I asked him on Twitter, why are you doing this? He actually responded to me and said because he needs to stop the woke mind virus. And believe me, I'm no fan of woke culture at all. Just seems to me that getting off target with that. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Plastic Pinocchio, I have healed completely from the infection. A little bit of swelling, but almost not noticeable at this point. So we're good as far as that's concerned. Producer, let's go ahead and bring SpaceX back, since we are less than 13 minutes from liftoff.
Terminals, allowing us to get live views of ship while in orbit and all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Starlink satellites are built in Redmond, Washington, and that's also where we monitor the health of our entire constellation. So let's take a quick look for more on Redmond.
Thank you, Common Sense. And you're right. Ad Astra does need funding. Did we just cut music there, producer? Oh. Okay. So right now we're watching the whole Starlink information. Ad Astra, what Common Sense just mentioned, by the way, to talk about what that is, the Vasimir system utilizes high energy radio waves to create an ionized plasma. And then that plasma is directed through an extremely powerful electromagnetic field, which then drives the plasma out the nozzle of a rocket at extremely high speeds. We're talking about 10 times as efficient as a conventional rocket with all the thrust. So Vasimir is a very interesting propulsion system, and a company called Ad Astra are the ones that are working on that right now, for those of you unfamiliar with that. Wonderful. It's fantastic.
Objectives is for SHIP to deploy Starlink simulator satellites that represent the advanced V3 satellites Starship will be launching in the future. And as you can see here, Once Starship reaches a nominal orbit, the payload door will slowly begin to open to prepare for deployment. The Starlink satellites will be dispatched relatively quickly, one at a time, very much like a Pez dispenser. They'll be situated in one long stack, taking up as little space as possible, allowing for an efficient deployment sequence. And once a set of Starlinks is deployed, the next set advances and deploys until they are all drifting away from Starship to prepare for their on-orbit life. Each Starlink V3 launch on Starship is planned to add 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. That's more than 20 times the capacity added with every V2 mini launch on Falcon 9. So we're talking about a massive increase in performance all around, which will ultimately enable Starlink to serve as the communications backbone of the missions to the Moon and to Mars. But for now, we're going to turn it back over to the team at Starbase. Hey, Dan and Amanda.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. So, quick update for everybody. So weather's still the main thing that we're watching. We are currently red on the range, hoping to clear that anvil rule any moment now. That's really the only thing blocking us at the moment. Vehicle's good, pads ready to go. All of our checkouts have been really smooth today after that repair work that we did this morning after we had to abort out yesterday. So we're looking at the weather. That's the thing we're really paying attention to right now.
Meanwhile, prop load is still ongoing. We started loading prop at about T-minus 53 minutes, beginning with ship fuel, ship blocks, booster fuel, and finally booster locks began loading at about T-minus 35. We'll continue loading prop until just about 3 minutes before liftoff, and ship will conclude first, and then 30 seconds later, booster will finish up.
Yeah, so bottom line, we're looking great on the vehicle. We're looking really good on the range. We're just really watching that weather. So we're still waiting to hear that that's clear. That's the only thing that could potentially stop us today.
Wow, Jovian, thank you so much for the 50
now let's talk about
quid.
Mars,
Oh my
since
God.
everything we
Thank
do is
you,
part of our
Jovian.
foundational
Thank you.
mission to get to the red planet. Each Starship launch is to learn more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary and to improve ship to the point where it's eventually taking millions of people to Mars.
That's right. We're looking ahead to begin sending the first Starships to Mars next year. These initial ones are going to go without humans. They're just going to put minimally viable landers on the surface, land right on the skirt, no legs. This will just help prove we can actually get to Mars, focus on learning just as much as humanly possible, demonstrating what's needed for Mars transit and the ultimate landing.
Then, during our next window from 2028 to 2029, we'll attempt to land the initial infrastructure and start delivering more equipment while evaluating available resources on the planet. And we'll also have Optimus on board for the ride, designed to do the initial heavy lifting.
Beyond that, by 2030, 2031, as these windows open up roughly every 26 months, we'll continue to increase the amount of payload we're sending on each ship as we're building out more infrastructure, mining resources, generating propellant for ships to come back from Mars. By 2033, we want to double the amount of payload per ship as we just get closer and closer to building a self-sustaining presence on the red planet.
Yeah, very exciting missions ahead, and these first missions to Mars are going to be crucial to setting up what we'll need for humans to eventually inhabit the planet, and we won't be doing this alone. The Italian Space Agency and SpaceX recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the first Starship missions to deliver customer payloads to Mars. These payloads will include a plant growth experiment, a weather monitoring station, and a radiation sensor to gather scientific data during Starship's approximately 6-month interplanetary coast phase from Earth to Mars and also on the Martian surface.
It's a really exciting vision. To make it happen, we're going to need to launch a whole lot more. We're going to need a whole lot of people that are going to come and help us build this. So it makes it really fun for me to come to work. I know you build these things.
100%.
It's got to be fun for you.
Yep, very exciting.
All right.
Looks like we're about 5 minutes from Starship's 10th flight test. Range is still looking good. Still have an eye on the weather at the moment. And prop load is also continuing on both stages of Starship.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up real quick. So we are we're almost closed out on the booster. We're about 90% on fuel, about 90% on LOX, just a bit below. So again, we're going to continue filling for about the next 2 minutes. Once we're completely done with that, we have about 11 million pounds of liquid propellant
another
on
$1.
board those
Thank you
two
so much,
stages of
Papsu.
Starship.
Really
So
appreciate your support.
a lot of propellant to move
Thank
really
you.
big rockets really fast away from South Texas. So once we get close, all of our ground systems will prepare themselves. They do what's called pushbacks. They'll clear out all of those feed lines, push back into the prop farm, and just prepare the area around it. We're doing our final guidance and navigation checks right now. The automated flight safety system is about to get armed. We're just really preparing the vehicle to get ready to go. I'm not sure if we passed it already, but we do a final thrust vector control, check out the TVC. We'll wiggle the engines that we use to actually steer the rocket itself. Everybody's favorite topic, if we need to hold. That hold would come at T minus 40 seconds. We can hold if we're still waiting for the weather to clear, which is our big item today, or if any other last minute issues pop up. We'll only hold there if we have an issue. Still waiting to hear confirmation that the weather has cleared. That's the only thing it looks like would hold us today. There's the business end of a Super Heavy.
Now, once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark that Dan was talking about, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, and ship will switch over to internal power. After that, the quick disconnect arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, which occurs shortly after T0. And once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark, we do still have the ability to then recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened, and if we can proceed again back to liftoff.
Yeah, we hope that doesn't happen, but it has previously. I promise not to psych anybody this time. We do have some kind of points of no return. Once the water starts flowing out of that flame deflector under the launch mount, that happens just a little after T-minus 10 seconds. If that triggers and then we hit a hold, that would be a scrub for the day. We have to refill the water tanks, can't turn it off, got to refill prop, all that stuff. So that's kind of the major watch item. You'll see a big splash under the launch mount, and if we see that go and then you hear a hold, that would mean that we're done for the day. But not.
Thank you, Dominic. Really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
And yeah, I didn't disappear. Sorry, everybody. Listening in as the flight director for today is going through some of the final checks. We are still red on the range for weather. We are closing out prop load right now, though.
Yeah, as we wait and hear what's going on, we can just quickly review some of the test objectives for today. On the booster side, we're of course hoping for all 33 of those Raptor engines to power our ascent ahead of hot staging. And once that stage separation occurs, booster will perform that directional flip before the boost back burn. One of the interesting experiments we're doing today is upon our landing burn, which typically ends with those 3 center engines lit. We're going to be intentionally shutting one of those off and instead lighting one from the middle 10 ring. And this is just to kind of give us an idea of what it would look like if we ever had an engine out scenario.
Yeah, using
Hello,
our time
Chad Hopkins.
to really
Thanks
push
for
the
joining us
envelope.
today. I know you've been a long-time subscriber. Really, really appreciate
And
you
so
joining
at this
us
point,
today.
we are fully closed out on our prop load. Coming up on a minute and 20, we are still red on the range for weather. So at this rate, looking likely we will hold at T-minus 40 to see if we can clear that anvil cloud roll. That's the one blocker we currently have to a launch today.
Looks like the weather is going to mess this up for us, at least temporarily, guys. We'll see. There's word of a storm about 30 kilometers or so downrange. So yeah,
right,
and there's only
did just
so
get confirmation,
long that
so
they
we
can
are expecting to
this.
hold
We're
at
holding
T-minus
40
40.
seconds.
We are still red on the range for weather, so look for the clock to pause in just a couple seconds.
All right, let's see
And
what happens.
pause. So we'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. We do have until the end of the window. We won't have 30 minutes of hold time to hang out, as we can't. We're essentially not replenishing prop on the vehicle at this point, so we have to keep a close eye on things like temperatures inside the tanks. We can only hold
Barry,
for so
thank
many
you
minutes
so much
before
for
the
your
things
support.
start to warm
really
up.
Appreciate it. Really
Surprised
appreciate
it's
all
hot
the
in South Texas.
generosity. Harris, is that right? Harris,
so
okay. Thank you so much. Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, while we're holding here at T-minus 40 seconds, we reviewed our test objectives for booster, but why don't we chat ship for a second?
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for your support.
After stage separation, ship will continue onwards up through its ascent to the planned suborbital trajectory. Once it reaches there, we'll undergo SECO, or where the second stage shuts off its engines. We're hoping to deploy 8 dummy satellites today, which are modeled after Starlink V3. We're also planning to attempt a in-orbit burn, so we'll relight one of those Raptor engines while in space, and that will occur ahead of re-entry, where we'll also be testing multiple experiments, including missing tiles, metallic tiles, and intentionally loading those vehicles' flaps. And then hopefully we'll conclude today's test flight with a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, definitely want to see a ship on the other side of the planet today. We did just get a quick update. So range is fully green. Weather is still red. So we are still tracking its attached anvil rule, which essentially there's an anvil cloud that's too close to our launch site, and it needs to move further away. Until it moves further away, we can't lift off. So we are expecting an update in a couple of seconds, potentially. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We're not actively replenishing prop. And getting an update now.
May have a scrub here, guys.
And we're getting a weather update right now. And team's looking at it. Again, we're just tracking this anvil rule still. It's our only blocker today. Range is green, vehicle is green. Weather is currently red. All right, and sad voice coming in. We did just hear that we are still going to be red. So at this point, we are essentially transitioning this to be a wet dress. So
that's it.
Wet dress is
Scrubbed
when we
again, guys.
fully load
Steven,
prop
thank
on
you
board the
so
rocket.
much for your support.
So we are going to see the clock probably start up again.
But
once they get down to 10.
we are done once again as a result of weather, even though technically rain can't stop. You could launch through rain with one of these things. But given the fact that, you know, this is the second to last block 2, they may not launch another block, the last block 2 at all. This could be it for block 2. So as a result, let's go ahead and mute them at this point, producer, if we haven't already done it. So yeah, at this point, guys, we can understand why. As I say, you could probably launch Starship through these weather conditions. It's the sort of thing that's been done before, but, you know, again, with only one block 2, perhaps 2 left, I think SpaceX wants to maximize their chances of success. So this was instead a wet dress rehearsal. BJ, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Appreciate everybody's support tonight. Really, really amazing. So fingers crossed. Yes, very good point. That was brought out. Even though human lives are not on the line with this flight, Challenger's lost 7 people killed on Challenger in 1986 because a very horrible day that I will never forget, because weather was not respected. So we don't want to get into a culture whereby weather is ignored, whether it's a manned launch or an unmanned launch. So I can understand the reasoning behind this. And there we are. Time to close for this evening. We will, of course, be back to provide you with coverage the next time SpaceX tries to do this, which will probably be tomorrow night. So I hope you guys are able to join us. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, stay angry about space.